Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we have a very special interview. 5-time national champion, 2022 world vice champion in heavyweight category, Simon Imhäuser from Sweden.
Thank you. Probably the best introduction I've ever got, so appreciate that.
So today, the first question from me, what I'm gonna ask you, how did you find out about our sport and what time exactly was that?
It was 2018 roughly, and I started off just working out in the gym, but then I saw actually Edgars Lazdins performing full planche on the straight bar, and I think that was the first real video of me knowing it was a sport. I know about handstand, muscle ups and all that, but not necessarily that was a sport. So 2018 Edgars Lazdins.
Wow, this is around 2018. It's when the new generation took over the sport, literally freestyle went to a whole another level around that time. So for somebody who actually got into the sport, that for me personally it's actually quite recent that I noticed, because I've been doing it for long. But for Simon, new generation, taking over the whole calisthenics scene, also doing really well on social media. He has gathered over 300,000 followers on the multiple social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. So it's my pleasure to interview you and dig a little bit into your mindset and how are you doing it over your whole duration over your career.
Appreciate that.
What was your first goal, what you actually set for yourself when you started this sport?
Oof. The truth is, it wasn't anything to do with competition. When I started, I was really into just enjoying the workout, and I would say the muscle up and handstand was my main goals. But it was when I started entering that scene of more skill training, then also knowing that competition was a thing. There I started to set bigger goals, front lever I think was the main one, and then of course 360 in the beginning. But really the basics. And I started off thinking I would never compete. That's the honest truth.
Oh wow, look how everything changes over the time. Guys taking over literally the whole world, traveling, competing, the highest level of everyone, and the heaviest athlete that I know.
Pretty damn heavy. I think 80, maxed out at 92, and now I think a bit more sustainable. I dropped down to about 87, but I think 85 I would push it downwards a bit, and that would be probably my peak.
Oh wow.
But I guess time will tell.
One big fella. What is your background of training? What you have done before starting calisthenics? What was your sports or maybe hobbies or something like that?
I did professional swimming for about 11 years. Actually, I started off super young, so I did that for many years and trained a lot, 4 or 5 times per week, which built me sort of this V shape. Mm-hmm. And then I combined swimming and gym training for about 1.5 years, and also I really enjoyed working the upper body mainly. So already when I started with gym, I got really huge upper body, big arms, and focus a lot on the core. I was in a state where everyone should have abs. In that age, everyone with abs, that was the go-to sign that you're actually training and you're fit. So strong core, strong upper body, and then I did calisthenics after that. But swimming and gym was the main background.
And how do you think how swimming background has helped you in calisthenics? Is there anything specific that you have taken from swimming and introduced it into calisthenics?
I think there's both muscle wise and mentally. When it comes to muscles, of course everything is pulling there, so my lat foundation and just in general my body getting really comfortable with training, I think helped a lot. But maybe even more mentally, swimming. If you know it's literally you swim in the same thing over and over again, and I think mentally that helped me a lot, knowing that okay, you're gonna do the same thing over and over again, but in the end of the year you might achieve like you gain 1 more second faster, 2 more second faster, and that transfer to calisthenics, same procedure. Like sometimes you work the same thing with one skill for a ton of time, and then all of a sudden you get the results when you actually apply it. And I think that helped me a lot mentally, just this constant grinding.
It's quite similar to training statics, to be honest. You get extra like faster time, but like in statics you gain extra second or two in the whole time. Like that's pretty impressive. For those people, now you heard it, you need to train swimming if you want to be better at pooling. Simon said it first.
I guess that's there's some truth to it, definitely is.
For foundational purposes, of course. You won the Beast of the Bars competition in 2019. You came out of nowhere. Barely, I think barely some people recognize. Locally you were well known already, but like worldwide, like it was like out of nowhere. The guy comes out and like kills the competition. You were first place, and Don and Tom Rosenberg was second and third.
That was the
like for me, like it's like feels like yesterday for me personally, but for me I was like, wow, like really young guy coming out of nowhere, like literally, and showing the already then like full planches, straight bar, one arm front levers, like really good dynamics already back then. What is in your opinion your first big achievement, what you have achieved in this sport?
I do really think that was the one, and also created like a spark for me personally to know that fuck, I actually maybe have some potential. Because before that, as I said, I never thought I would compete. I just did it for fun in the beginning, and I really appreciate it now, especially in the older days, that I was surrounded with people that forced me to compete. If someone knows Daniel Fleerfield, he's really strict, and sometimes he can tell you like you need to do this, and most of the time he's really right. And this was one of the times where I trained, and he said like you should just compete. And even though I didn't want it at the time, I competed, and of course that then gave me the boost, like fuck, you are actually good enough for it. And it was a big achievement for me personally to continue, and I think also it was the time where my name got a boost. Like from that time on, people actually started to know who I was.
That's really impressive, like from a young age actually, like to like come to the competition and make your name, like so people remember your name, you know, from one competition straight away. Did you compete in nationals beforehand, or?
Yeah, that year I placed second place in the nationals, but the nationals was in the beginning of the year, and then Beast of the Bars was towards December, so I had like this full summer. That was the year I also built my outdoor gym, and it was just a period where I never progressed so much in my entire life. So it was a good time, and I was in my like peak progression wise.
That's really nice. Saying from the nationals, like I know the national scene over there, and like from first year that you placed already in the second place, that's also I could say a big achievement in my opinion.
I guess,
because I remember Dana, Emil, all of the local guys who competed. I remember back in the day that they competed at the same time, like literally when you started. So like that's pretty big like achievement straight away, and to go to nationals and get the second place, and then afterwards of course Beast of the Bars, like biggest competition in like Nordic side, like even at that time it was one of the biggest competitions like happening back then.
Definitely.
because around that time there was like a lot of like smaller competitions, but Beast of the Bars with that year, like that was like one of the biggest that year competitions. I think like maybe World Championship and FIBO was like on that year maybe also like as big, but like that was one of the big three competitions, I could say.
Definitely.
And next question is a little bit more about like where you're coming from Sweden. Sweden has pretty rich history also about calisthenics because like I know a lot of people over the years that I competed with, a lot of good friends over there. And how do you think over the years of you starting competing and now, how has the Swedish national scene has changed?
Well, in many ways, I would say that the overall knowledge about calisthenics has grown. More people know about it, but we have had one dilemma that's just changed the sport totally and how it progresses, and that's the amount of places we can perform. So at the time, as we speak, it's only my backyard, which is limited. Like Sweden, it's not good weather. Like half the year we can train in my backyard. Maybe we push it a few more months if we're like hardcore and train when it's really cold. And then we have my buddy's outdoor gym as well. We have no gym that I know of. If anyone knows any gym, please tell me. But no gym in the whole of Sweden where you can perform good freestyle all year round.
Yeah.
And like how are we meant to like progress if we don't have place to train? I think that's been the main factor why the elite level of calisthenics has decreased almost, like less people compared to when Dana, everyone just trained Emil Langley and those people, then they had a place. Now more people know about the sport, more people do basics like pull-ups, muscle-up. If you ask someone, I would argue that the percentage of the whole population that knows the name calisthenics has definitely increased as well. But the level on like our nationals and everything, it's like it hasn't improved because we just don't have the setup.
Yeah. Compared to the like back in the day, like you had like plenty of spaces like Extreme Fabriken, of course, that
exactly.
sadly shut down.
And then we had some free mover as well.
Free mover gym, yeah.
So yeah,
like,
that's sad.
Big change in that, but I could say like we went through that period of phase as well, like here in Latvia, like gyms shutting down and still no place to train. Maybe like gymnastics gym that had like a shitty bar that like also the people who worked there was not welcoming us inside. They were like really strict to gymnastics, and when we come there we like do like all the calisthenics, you know, a lot of chalk, loud music and all of that. They didn't like it, but I think that's also a part of the growth, you know. If you manage to push through this phase, like the next phase around when you get the next big gym, if somebody like decides to open it, I think it's going to be even bigger increase in the scene there, like a lot new people starting to compete, and maybe even competitively, even like going above the level right now what you have, like because you have like world champion Malin from Sweden, then of course you like really high level competing all over the place, like scoring really like high in the placement in the competition, and like I have to say, like compared to back in the day, there was a lot of people who did it as a hobby and like just from the part of like they love the sport. But now I think like a lot of people are starting to take it a little bit more serious, of like trying to approach it like in competitive wise, like taking it serious, like going to the competitions, like traveling outside of Sweden as well, because like usually back in the day Swedish people competed more in like Nordics, but like over the past, I think since 2021, if not mistaken, like Swedish like athletes like have started to travel all over the place representing the country and actually doing some damage in the competitions. So like, that's actually I'm happy to see about it. Heavyweight calisthenics, as you said, you're like 87 kilos, and what would you personally do to like stay consistent this whole time, and how can you make like these consistent progress over the time? Like
over time, it's a hard one, and anything I'm about to say, it's gonna probably be applicable for a lot of people, but then again, I guess the trick is to find what works best for you when it comes to progress, but also enjoyment, and I've really been focusing on both of them. So one thing I added a lot is resistance band training, and that allowed me to like perform skills even before I was actually able to do it. So with full planche, with front lever, with Maltese, all of these stuffs, I would add the resistance band even if I wasn't able to perform like a 1 second hold at that time, because this allowed me to be in the skill earlier and thereby being motivated, like fuck, this is what it should feel like. And then I would work myself up with the holding time. I would then drop down with some bands and eventually just move towards the place where I wouldn't need a band. And that was my way of keeping motivation up, because it felt like I already had the skill. So fake it until you make it to some degree, but it worked really well.
Do you follow any type of program?
To some degree, like I make my own program, and in the beginning also Daniel Flefield helped me a lot with like structure, because I think that's good too. Like training alone to some degree works, but sometimes you need another outside person that looks at it on another perspective to tell you what to do. Because when I wrote my own programs, I pushed my limit, but not probably to the degree where I could push it. Whereas I had Daniel, he know that like, fuck bro, you're strong enough to train this skill, this mount, or whatever it may be. Same with freestyle. So he helped me to like just twist up the program slightly more to really push my limit. And that worked really well. And nowadays I have sort of a pretty good program. It's like I put a goal, like for example now it's the straight bar Maltese, and then I will make a program like which exercises am I gonna perform for the next months in order to take me there. But then some small changes from time to time, but a good line to follow.
Do you implement deload weeks in the program?
Definitely, like deload weeks every 5 to 6 weeks probably, and especially on the weeks where I feel like fuck, I don't need a deload. If that's what my body's telling me, and it's still been like 5 to 6 weeks, I know I've been pushing it hard, I will still take it. It's gonna be the most shitty week of all time because you feel like I don't need it. I feel powerful, but you're gonna thank yourself in the long run, because if you feel like you need a deload, it's to some degree already a bit too far. You already pushed it. So I just make sure I would take the deload consistently, even if I feel like I don't need it.
Any nutrition that you like, for example, supplements, like nutrition wise, like extra supplements to balance out your diet, do you take any?
Magnesium from time to time, not always on daily basis, but pretty often, especially in summer, because I get some like just shakiness in the muscles, especially when I try to go to sleep, or my eye will start to flicker. So just hate it. So I take magnesium for that, and also to reduce cramps. I take some electrolytes, especially in summer sessions when we're training outdoors. And then I will have protein powder, of course, just to bump up the protein intake usually. And I think that's actually the main ones. Then vitamin D, but that's just because I live in Sweden and we have darkness. Creatine, yeah, that's true. Creatine I just take on daily basis as well.
So all the combination of all of it, I think it makes a significant difference. Of course.
I think so.
So it allows you to train more often, more consistent progress out of it all. Of course, that's not the number one thing that you should look for, but like if you're dedicating your life to training, you should actually like start investing into nutrition, like extra supplements, eating cleaner. What's your diet actually?
That one is pretty clean right now. Especially I've been using the app and just tracking calories, making sure. My main focus has always been to get my protein in. So I've been aiming for like 200 grams of protein, preferably from food. So I mean, chicken has been like main thing I eat. Then I add some meat as well, usually from time to time, and that it is pretty damn clean. I also try to stick away from sugary food, both in the sense that I usually don't need it, but also that my blood sugar levels, when they go up and down, I feel like my training sessions have been a bit more inconsistent. But then again, like some days I do cheat as well. Mentally we need it from time to time.
Exactly.
Strict in the main, like overall strict, and then from time to time just enjoy that you're actually living as well.
How do you keep the consistency between the training and actually doing content? Because like you're one of the person that uploads on YouTube, I think, in the highest frequency what I've ever seen. You upload a lot also on Instagram, also like other social medias, but the most, like what I've seen, like the most active you're on Instagram and YouTube. How do you manage to train at this level and actually produce a lot of content at the same time?
Yeah, I think it might change for the future, but what I've been doing right now and the concept has been to apply, like, of course you need some creativity to it, but see like how much content can I produce from just the routine lifestyle that I have right now. So I actually used to study, I've studied for 3 years now, mechanical engineering, and it took a lot of time. And at that point I also know that I need to get in, like, just start with YouTube somehow. And to me, to just think that I would do, like, dedicate a full day for shooting or like doing something special, it was really overwhelming. So I just sat down and be like, all right, but filming vlogs, it's basically just putting up the camera, recording the things I do. I will first off get better with videography, like learn angles, learn all of that. I'll get way better at speaking. If I would have had this interview like 1 year ago, I would probably struggle a bit, like way more, and don't just answer like out of thin air. So that's also something I learned. I also learned how to express feelings, because when I'm doing vlogs, usually I need to explain what I feel in a way that's understandable and that you actually want to listen to as well, so you just don't click. So I gained a lot of skills and consistency from it, because it was easy to do, so I could just add maybe like 20 minutes extra, and then I got the YouTube part. I would say that the Instagram one is the one that's slightly harder, but then what I try to do for that one is I dedicate maybe one day, or when I'm traveling, let's say I'm on the bus, I would sit down and just scroll, find inspiration. I would save all of that, and then I will dedicate like one day. Sometimes it was rest days, which probably isn't the best, but I would dedicate one day, record like 4 or 5 videos, so I would have it stacked up for 1 week. And then if I want to be consistent with TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all of these stuff as well, I would, to be honest, just schedule the posts I have on Instagram for those other stuff. So I would take one day and I will schedule the same video for the other platforms, and then I can let it be for like 10 days, and then I will sit down, schedule the content I've produced, and let those ones be. So that's been sort of the structure I've been going for.
That's pretty impressive, because like me seeing you going at it, it's like crazy. I'm trying to produce content, like in some moments I slip up, some moments I'm more consistent, but seeing you going at it, it's like definitely motivating, inspiring, to be honest. Like for me, like as well, like usually when I train at home, for example, like I see, oh, Simon posted a video, what he's training, oh, planche, oh, I have a push day as well. So I watch your video sometimes and I train at the same time. It feels like I'm not training alone anymore. You know, there's like certain people who've been vlogging for years, for example, right? But to see another person joining in on the grind on YouTube as well, like it's definitely inspiring. And like the frequency, how you upload, how much, like definitely, like I feel like I'm sitting at home and shit, we should film a vlog and post it as soon as possible.
I'm glad to hear. I also think that's the thing with vlog, like it's a really easy concept, because otherwise it's easy to do one hell of a video, especially in the beginning, and then that's sort of the baseline of what's the next. So if you do one good video, it performs well, it's everything, you almost feel automatically that the next video you post has to be better than the previous one. And that concept is like, it's working against consistency really hard. Whereas the vlogs is more casual, it's more like every day I want to share what's happening right now, and it's nothing to do with the other videos that I posted before. It's just living right now, it's easy to film and all of that, and it creates consistency. And then of course once you get that, you can start to do maybe more creative videos, that's more edits, that's more maybe scripted, and those things. This
I could definitely relate to that, because like most of our videos actually, like we try to shoot them laid back, but like, you know, once the squad gets all together, like you need to like bring a certain energy, you know, like it's not fully laid back. You actually need to like a little bit sometimes try hard actually to push through for a video, because like when you come together with the group, like everybody wants to perform to the best of their ability, and it's not going to be perfect representation of how on a daily life we're like training. We had done like statics videos for like push and pull. Those videos were like somewhat similar of like the usual training, but like when we do like full like freestyle session of dynamics and statics, that's not exactly what usually like in our training session what's going on. But yeah, like this format what you're going on, actually it's a pretty good like for other people like to know like this is how like an athlete actually trains. You can see day in day out how you're training, every session, everything is documented, like you explained or actually teach as well along the way. That's really nice, like because a lot of people do separate videos of like teaching, like tutorials and all of that, like, and you manage to do it in the vlogs as well. Like that's a really good format to be honest, like to like teach as well, because like meanwhile you're breaking it down and people watch and like they learn and like they love to follow along that all of that stuff. One more question under this one, how do you avoid burning out?
Oh, that one is hard because it goes in periods. It may look like the consistency and everything that it's all good all the time, but it isn't. Like some days I just like wake up and I just feel super demotivated, and even like I just said, the vlogs are easy to film. There are a few days where I'm like, it just feels like shit. I really want to skip the workout, to be honest. I really want to skip the filming and everything, and those ones sucks. Like it is really harsh, and I think at that point I just rely a bit on the consistency and discipline. Like it sounds really casual, but one thing with the vlogs as well that helped me in overall is that I know that people are expecting me to post, and I think it gives me a lot more. Like it's not just the fact that I have to do something, but I feel like people are expecting me to show up, and then I'm like, okay, but let's just show reality. Like sometimes I would go to a workout in the vlogs, and if it's shit, I will tell them it's shit. I will almost exaggerate it a bit, like swear a bit extra, because that's the reality of it. And then of course I also try to get some breaks from time to time. Like even if content is all the time in my mind, I try to have a few days where I'm like, I go away from social media. If I'm going on a family trip or whatever, maybe I try to not focus on it at all, and just have that fine balance.
Balance is the way to go.
Yeah, and also to know, like in my mind, I also know that if I ever were to like move towards burning out or feeling too stressed, I know that the first thing I will take away is content, because your health, my training, and all of that is the number one. And I know that if I were to go away from content for like a few days and just focus on like living, like eating good, training good, and all of that, I would just come back so fast. Whereas if I were to cut down on those things and just be like, fuck, I need to do content all the time, I think that's gonna quicker, like in the long run, not be healthy.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the first thing that you're an athlete, and then like I think you're like a social media, like influencer or content maker, I could say. What do you find the most fulfilling thing out of calisthenics compared to other sports?
I think it's the fact that you can like maximum body control. Now I'm not really into religion in any way, but I feel like we're born without really a pure purpose. Like when you're born, you don't really get a paper where like this is what you have to achieve. And in my mind, then it's like, all right, but my life is all about like achieving the maximum capabilities of, like, for me, like the maximum capability I have, and that is with body control, it's with mindset, maybe it is with business as well to some degree, it's friendships and all of that. And I feel like calisthenics is one of these things, like it is the best sport for achieving maximum body control. So that if I just every day push my body within calisthenics, at the end of my lifespan I will have experienced the like maximum control of my body that I could ever achieve. And to me that's one of the checkpoints of sort of life.
Yeah. So. Like as well, like as you mentioned, like all the friendships and everything as well, like this whole sport is really community driven. You get to like meet with a lot of people, make good friends, like even not from locally but as well abroad, you know.
Of course. I mean, I'm in Latvia right now on my own, right, and that will probably not happen the same way in sports, because this sport is so much about just gathering, training together. Like if I would have stuck to, let's say, swimming, like I never think I would in the world like go to the world champion in swimming and just hang around for a few days and swim together. Like the vibe is just not there.
I guess like
but
it's
this
not
sport
common,
is different. This sport is just all about gathering people.
What is the most challenging skill that you have trained? So not only like the difficulty of skill itself, but
the
how
journey.
how hard was to get to that certain point?
I think it's one for static, one for dynamic. For the static, I would say straight bar Maltese to some degree is something I've been hustling like lately on, because there I feel like the limiting really is like the grip and all of that, and strength wise as well, it just takes a lot, core strength and all of that. It's hard to say, like I haven't hustled insanely much on a specific skill. I just feel like in general my journey has been pretty long, like of course now I've been in the game for like 7 years, just grinding, and of course I have achieved a significant level, but it's still like it's slow and steady. So I'm not jumping on too much on specific skills, staying too much, but I guess the Maltese, I just feel like I feel like one of those skills that is really impossible. Like that's my just general feeling about it, but I'm still training as hard as I can to actually achieve it. And then for dynamics, it's definitely like front flip regrab. It's sketchy as fuck. Like it takes a lot of technique, but then also mentally. Every time I walk up on that bar, it takes a part of my brain, like commitment to actually perform it. And it's just like this reservoir. Like I have maximum like 5 attempts per session and then I'm out. After that, just the connection, everything goes away. And even if I like the first one I performed probably like 2 or 2.5 years ago, it's still not consistent. Like I still fail it more often than I actually land it, which is just crazy.
After all as well, it's like power dynamic move, like it's really hard, like that's advanced dynamics from flip regrab. Personally I have like my fair share of like experience on it, and like I have like did it really like in a like tried to do it consistently, but ended up falling really like painfully. And like from that moment I told myself, nah, you're not touching this move ever again, because like it takes a lot of dedication to actually grind it out so you're consistent at it. I know a lot of people who are like doing front flip regrabs on a daily, but it took them way longer time to get it consistent than I have seen people. Even like some people achieve planche faster than consistent front flip regrab, to be honest. Like that I could say like one of the most difficult dynamic moves, because like you're doing a full flip, letting go of the bar as well, like then grabbing it again, and like messes with your like mind as well. Like you need to actually like literally be ready to die when you do it, because like it's actually gonna take part of your soul. To be honest, like any other like power dynamic move, like you need to be ready to like give up something to get it. And
Right.
with Maltese, like yeah, of course, like Maltese, freaking crazy hard move. Like people I've seen, like people grinding non-stop, like. And some people, like even I've seen, like never get to the point of like actually doing Maltese. Like of course, like I started to train it, but like I know it's gonna take a long time for me.
Yeah.
But like to see you like grinding it non-stop, like especially lately, like it actually like gives me like a green light. Okay, like the heavier guys as well can like go for it, because usually back in the day there was like a certain like level that you got up to, and like heavier guys usually stopped at there, didn't like improve above that. But like actually I think like you're one of the person who actually broke the myth that heavy guys cannot perform like harder moves. So like I think like you're inspiring a lot of people like in heavier weight actually to like go for like crazier stuff actually in calisthenics.
Happy to hear. That's what we want to do. Like especially if you didn't know, this is the backyard of Edgars Lazdins, and like we've been here just meeting up, just filming crazy stuff and trying to just show that it doesn't really matter about your size or your height or whatever it may be. Calisthenics really is for everyone. Then we can of course argue how easy it is for everyone. That's gonna be way different. Like there's gonna be benefits if you have long arms, if you're taller, shorter. But the main point we just want to show is that it is for everyone. It just takes longer or shorter time. That's really the thing.
How do you usually prevent or deal with injuries along the way of training? Like, you know, like competition is coming closer, you're increasing the volume of your training sometimes because you think you're like, sometimes you rush before the competition to get everything in the correct point. How do you personally like deal with all of that stuff?
One is the deload weeks we mentioned. I have them routine based. So even at that point I don't feel my body. I just know that this is something I need to do for my consistency and not getting injured. The other thing is, before competition I also always have a deload week 2 weeks before comp to know that I'm fully recovered. Then the third thing is feeling my body. So that's besides routines. I will always feel like if I feel like this skill or what I'm training is putting too much pressure on me, I will just make it easier or reduce the intensity in some way. And then of course I use a lot of resistance band, which means that I'm putting a lot of pressure on tendencies and I'm in the skill a lot already before I actually put my full body weight. So when I come to the point of me doing, for example, Maltese attempts, I've already been in that position for many months, training it, putting pressure here, and those things also reduce the chance of me getting injured because my body's really comfortable. So even if I sometimes say I'm just gonna send it when it comes to trying new skills or freestyle as well, it's sending it, but to the limit where I know that I'm not gonna get injured from it or fuck myself up. I'm gonna send it in the sense that I would give it my absolute all to the degree that my body is capable of, and that's pretty much it.
That's like perfect way to go, to be honest, because like a lot of people like they don't actually use all the tools that you can actually use in the sport. A lot of people avoid the resistance bands. A lot of people actually don't even like, for example, like they try to commit crazy stuff straight away and fully sending it without even like maybe do like safety tries or safety checks for like dynamic skills, for example, you know, like, and that's correct way to go. Like a lot of people actually don't fully understand that you should like try to mimic the move or like maybe dynamic move, like try to go like in a slower like pace, like to learn stuff. Like that's gonna make sure that your body is ready for it, you're mentally also ready for it, so you can maximize what you're actually doing. And that's like Simon is like perfect like example for it. How do you see in the future like our sport evolving, like calisthenics? Where do you see it?
I mean, the Olympic Games was pretty recently, and like one dream I have is for the sport to actually be in the Olympics and perform there. Like that is just top level achievement, I feel like. And I think that would also be a really good boost for the sport. I see like the sport being there, like just around it, like how it's a entertainment sport to watch, how it also involves like insane level skills. No one can jump up and do it. And also like we have the gymnastic, it's been there for a really long time, so I just think this sport just fits really well there. And then for like in Sweden, for example, I think the first step is to see more gyms, because now when you go to the gym and like sort of promote the sport, all of the business owners or all of the gym owners is so much like, all right, but where's the business? Can you guarantee that 10 people are going to sign up? And like I can't really guarantee it because no one can train it. So it's just this loop of like, we don't have people training it because we don't have gyms. But then you ask like, okay, is there a demand? And I'm like, I don't really know, because the people that want it is the ones that don't have access to gyms. So it's just this weird loop. So I think as soon as we start getting a few more gyms, or just these gym owners committing to like, okay, we believe this sport is gonna do something. We don't need it right now, but we believe it. And then it's also like, we don't need any equipment. It's one bar, a few P bars, and of course a few meters in height when it comes to the roof. But besides that, it's so cheap. So I just hope to have more gyms, it evolves, and then of course being in the Olympic Games would be just that peak performance for the sport.
Yeah, so like in Olympics, like in each year when they do the Olympics every 4 years, of course, like when they do the Olympics, they like introduce a new sport for 1 year. If you didn't know, this year, for example, it was breakdancing. I don't know if you knew. It's only for 1 year. Then the next time, and I think when Olympics next time is happening in Los Angeles, they're gonna introduce esports, gaming, pretty much. They want for 1 year. So like, at least what I would like to see as well for myself, like to see calisthenics at least once. And like, if I could possibly, if I'm not too old at that time, actually to take part, that would be amazing to even take part in Olympics. Because you don't know in what format calisthenics are gonna go into Olympics. Maybe it's like strength and endurance, street lifting, or maybe even freestyle, because you never know. But actually the federation, World Street Workout and Calisthenics Federation, is working towards this. They have went to members like committee, like there's like a whole like meetup and everything. They did like all of that, and they're actually pushing our sport to go to Olympics one day. So like, I'm happy that actually federation is taking charge in this, because like calisthenics, one of the biggest problem, lack of funding in the sport. So like I think at least if we make it to Olympics, at least we get like the athletes get some like governmental help that we usually don't have that much. Even though in our country, like we had it in the past times, we had like a little bit of help. Like it would be nice that every athlete that are like really high level in the country, they get help to like go to the competitions, represent the country, because at the end of the day, all we want to do is compete. And if the government can help us, that would be phenomenal. Is there anything that you personally would like to change about your journey up until this point? Is there anything like something that really changed like your whole, like, I don't know, experience in sport, or maybe like there's like something that you did wrong back in the day, but you want to change, you would love to change it so you can get to like a higher level faster, for example?
Higher level? I would say I would focus slightly more on statics in the beginning. I did not the mistake, but I would change it probably. I would focus more on the statics, more on building that strength in the beginning. In the early stage, we always did like a lot of freestyle and statics, and to some degree it sort of made me really overall long term. But I think just looking at my level right now, I know that statics is the one that if I were just slightly stronger in everything I did, it would benefit me a lot in competition and all of those stuff. So I think focusing more on statics, then of course taking away a little bit of the dynamic part at the earlier stage. I think that is something I would change if I did my journey again. And then for social media, I wish I just started a bit earlier. I was really against it when I started, but I think the earlier I started, the more I could just track my journey, inspire more people at the earlier stage as well. But besides that, to be honest, there's not a lot of things I regret. Nothing I would just change directly. Because then again, like I'm really happy where I am right now. Just the fact that I'm sitting right here to me is real success. And then again, everything I've done in the past has led to just this movement as well.
Last question of the whole interview.
Cheers.
And usually when we do the interviews, what we are starting to do in these interviews is ask the previous guest a question that they should ask for the next guest. So previously I mentioned to you that we have Super Clarkson all the way from Estonia. He gave you a question for me to ask you. How do you deal with a loss after a competition?
Yeah, well, it's a good one because like in the beginning of my journey I did win a lot of competitions, but then as I competed in the highest level competitions, like lately it's not anyone that I've been winning lately, like mainly losing a lot of comps. And some of them, of course, I'm still happy with the ranking, but some of them I'm also a bit disappointed. But the way I sort of deal with it mentally is accepting the fact that this is not my last competitions. Like I'm here in the long game, and I also know that competing a lot is one of the sort of key factors of getting better at competition. So I know that every competition I do is going to prepare me better for the next one, and if that's the mindset I have for each of them, every time is going to get slightly better. And then I also I see competition not always as competition, but sort of these milestones in my training, so I always have something to work towards, and not necessarily thinking that I'm gonna go and win this competition. Because we're also in a state where we don't really have weight classes and stuff and things, and like I know that for a fact. It's not like it's a surprise when I go to competition. I know I compete, and sometimes maybe it's a bit unfair. And at that point I also just know that fuck, I'm here because I want it. I'm here because it keeps me fucking sharp. I want to perform as highest level. It's gonna prepare me even better for next one. I will get inspirations for my training and all of those things. So at that point I enjoy so much more than just the placement. The placement is the last thing I think about, more about performance and all of those things around it.
One question for you is, what are you gonna ask for the next person on?
As for the next person,
so you already, I think, have an idea who's next on, so you already can figure out what will be their last question that you want to ask.
It's a combination, like with training and social media and the relationship between it. So if we just phrase it, I guess, into a sentence, it's at a certain degree, do you want to reach certain skills or certain things for the social media part of it, because you want to show it off or have it for certain video, or because you really want to achieve that skill? Because it's the dilemma I have as well. I want to train for this certain skill because it's damn hell fun, like this is what I want to do with my body, or because I know it's going to be so useful for social media and everything around it.
So genuinely for status purposes, or actually for like using it for
fulfillment?
For fulfillment or for status. That's actually a really good question, because like a lot of people like who are training over the time, they actually like have these questions in their own mind, and like hearing it from other athletes, that's really, really nice. Thank you, Simon, for like sitting here. There's a lot of mosquitoes. If you don't see it, you're probably gonna see it. It's crazy. Like here in the backyard, there's hella mosquitoes. Thank you for sitting with us. Plug where can other people can find your social media.
Yeah, it's Imhäuser is my last name, so it's on Instagram and YouTube as well. I'm slightly on TikTok, but that's just repetitive content from Instagram most of the time. But YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah. Guys, make sure to go follow him on Instagram, subscribe him on YouTube. He's uploading really often, like pretty much when we bust out one upload, he's managed to do 4 during the same time. So like make sure to follow him, make sure to like his posts, make sure to like his vlogs as well, and share them, of course, because like if we're gonna spread the people who are making content, the sport is gonna grow, and we're gonna have a better future for all of us.
Supporting everyone is like the main thing.
Exactly. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. My pleasure. And let's now get the fuck out of here, because there's too many mosquitoes. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to let us know in the comments which person would you like to see on the interview next. And we will get back to this really quickly with the next interview. See you guys.
Perfect. That was so good.
Thank you.
That was so good.
Short
Short and
that was not short, I think.
51 minutes.
51 minutes. Holy shit. Oh, thank you, bro. I appreciate
you.
it. That was fucking amazing.